What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers backcourt it isn't cutting it. You just have too much redundancy between D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reaves. And unless both of them are just shooting incredibly well, playing excellent basketball, one, if not both, get phased out most of the time. Neither is a great defensive guy. Although Reaves, outside of the last two games, he has been better defensively. Last two games have been absolutely rough for him. And we just can't compete with the athleticism that other teams have at the guard position. And if both of these guys had completely different skill sets, then fine, that's one thing. Right? Like if one was a point of attack guy, one was a defensive guy, but good shooter, one was a legit 3-and-D guy, I don't think we'd have as many of the issues. And look, I like both DLo and Austin Reaves. I've been critical of both, and I've also praised both. But they just do not make sense as a pairing in this backcourt. And we need to really fix that backcourt in particular. Obviously, we have other needs, a center, things like that, but you got to get and break up those two. Whether it's, you're moving a DLo or Reaves to the bench and letting them kind of help uplift the bench production, just giving you better balance, or, obviously a trade would be the other factor. Now, Austin Reaves, the Lakers still have as completely untouchable. I get his production versus his contract is where the value really lies. I'm not saying that they have to trade both of them, but I don't think either should be untradeable. Like Austin Reaves isn't so good that he's just completely untradeable, right? If the right move is there, trade both of them. I don't care, right? Like if there is a move on the table that makes us better, or you can get an upgraded version, right? I talked about DeJounte Murray. I was big on, hey, if they want Reaves for Murray, go get Murray. I know in hindsight, obviously he's going to miss a couple weeks because of injury, but still, also, rewrite history. If he's a Laker, does he still get the same injury? But anyways, the point is that DeJounte Murray is the better player. Like, who wins the trade? The team that gets the better player. And it would have given you some athleticism, would have given you some point of attack, would have given you some playmaking, right? And you still could have traded D'Angelo Russell if you wanted to. But nonetheless, look, they really got to get, bare minimum, you got to get some form of athleticism, right? I'm still incredibly high on Zach LaVine. I think, he gives you like 80% of what this team needs. Gives you he can be athletic, right, and be a point of attack guy. He's not some elite defender, but he's better than both DLo and Reaves. And when he's locked in and invested on the defense side, he's actually a very good defender, right? Like Chicago has had stints last season, even this season, where they were like, one of the top 3 defenses over a stretch. And Zach LaVine was like leading the charge on that defensive end. It's just getting him regularly to buy in. But also on the Bulls, he's asked to do essentially everything, right? Where on the Lakers, it's just, hey, we need you to score buckets and defend, right? We don't need you to be this. We don't need you to go get 7 assists a game and do all this other crazy stuff, right? Like, just do what you do best and focus and buckle down defensively. But to me, it's more so just giving you that athleticism, giving you that consistency on the offensive end. Obviously, I'd love a legit 3-and-D guy. If you could get an Alex Cruz or KCP, unfortunately, those guys just aren't available. And so to me, give me the guy with the highest upside and potential for this roster. Zach LaVine is one of those guys, right? Like Gabe Vincent is giving you absolutely nothing, right? D'Angelo Russell, is not better than Zach LaVine, and Rui Hachimura is not better than Zach LaVine. And you could argue, is Zach LaVine better than both Rui and D'Angelo Russell? I would argue yes. I just think consistency-wise, he's going to give you more. Even on a bad night, he's going to still give you a better scoring total, where we've seen DLo and Rui just completely phase out. Never really see that with Zach LaVine. Also, it gives you another need in the form of athleticism, to where now you can move a Jared Vanderbilt or a Cam Reddish into the starting unit to give you that defensive balance while maintaining that elite level offense. And imagine Zach LaVine in this style of offense with his foot speed, his athleticism. I don't hate the idea of a Colin Sexton. Supposedly Utah wants us to take Jordan Clarkson. I am not a fan of Jordan Clarkson. Right? I just think he's incredibly inefficient. I mean, the guy is like a 32% career 3-point shooter, and he's a guy, yes, he can go get you 15, but on volume. Right? He needs 15 shots to go get you 15 points. He's just not a very efficient player. Where a Colin Sexton gives you a lot of the similarities. Yes, defensively, again, not great, but at least it gives you that athleticism, that rim pressure. When he is locked in and engaged, again, he can be a good defensive guy. There was even a highlight that was circling from this season where Walker Kessler literally ran full court to go track down a ball and ended up getting it. Like those kind of hustle plays, his energy, you never question his effort, right? We need at least bare minimum an injection of athleticism. Right, we're getting killed in transition, guys not being able to get back, giving up all kinds of offensive rebounds because we just don't have the foot speed. You don't have guys that can track down those loose balls and have the athleticism and the foot speed to beat the opposing team. Right? You don't have the guys that can get back and not get beat every time down the court. Right? Austin Reaves, D'Angelo Russell, players are just blowing by them, right, and just getting layups, and that's a problem. If we can get a Zach LaVine, if we can get Colin Sexton. I've said it before, the more and more that I think of a Bruce Brown, the more and more I like it. I really like the idea of Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown gives you that point of attack defense. The shooting is a bit of a concern, but he's not terrible. Right? He's basically what we want and need a Gabe Vincent to be, but he's just bigger and better. Right? He's a guy that can defend and slot 1 through 3. Even on some occasions, defend some 4s, depending on, the lineups and the units. But he's a guy that gives you, again, that athleticism, that point of attack defense, a guy that, can be a slasher and play off ball, knock down the occasional 3, right? You got to break up that backcourt. You really do, right? And whatever it is that you can get, whatever it is that's available to acquire to just put you in a better position, we need to get some level of point of attack defense. And a guy like Bruce Brown solves a lot of that. A guy like Bruce Brown gives you that, right? And Alex Caruso, Jalen Suggs, KCP, those guys, they're just not available. But we know Bruce Brown is, and he's not going to get $22 million again, or 23, I think, this year. So you'd also save some salary, right? You could go and trade for Bruce Brown, and then originally he was going to sign with the Lakers. He was going to sign with the Lakers in place of Gabe Vincent, but then the Indiana Pacers were like, hey, we'll give you, double what the Lakers are offering. And so he went and took the bag, which you can't really knock him. Good, go get your money, right? But now he'd go to the Lakers where he originally wanted to go. And on top of that, you won't have to pay him $20+ million a year, right? And now you can get him back on that $11 million and free up a bunch of cap space. The Lakers could free up their full mid-level exception. You could just sign him to that, and then you still have your salary space and all that stuff and things that you need to do to go make whatever trades you need to make, right? Or any signings you need to make or whatever, right? But look, at the end of the day, I like both of these guys. I like DLo. I like Reaves, but together they just don't make sense. Right? If you only had one of them, then fine. I think it would be great, right? If you could turn Austin Reaves into something, if you could turn D'Angelo Russell into something, right? And now you don't have that redundancy in the backcourt, right? And also you're putting pressure on Anthony Davis to just be great and clean things up, right? At least if you have a guy like a Zach LaVine or a Colin Sexton or something like that, they have the foot speed to where they're not just going to get blown by every possession. Right? So now Anthony Davis isn't on an island alone having to come and be the help defender and monitor and keep an eye on his man. Right? Now all he has to do is just be the cleanup guy, because now you're just funneling the offensive player into Anthony Davis rather than just getting blown by and beat every possession. And now Anthony Davis has got to try to make up for your lack of defense on top of defending his guy. And you see how many times the Lakers just get trapped. And it's an easy lob or a backdoor cut, and all of a sudden it's an easy bucket, right? Well, I don't think you'd have as many of those if you have guys that, maybe they're not great elite defensive guys, but they at least can stay in front of their guy and not just get blown out. They're at least serviceable enough to give us that proper uptick. And again, apply rim pressure, shoot the ball, play on ball, play off ball, right? Really need that. Because these two guys have just been a roller coaster. They have great games and they have bad games, and they have great games and they have bad games, but there's no real consistency, right? They're consistently inconsistent. You get 2 or 3 games of just oh wow, they were really good. And then you get 2 or 3 games of oh man, get these guys off our team. right? And if you can just turn that into more consistency, or at least other needs, like even like again, like let's say a Colin Sexton. Let's say he is as consistent as D'Angelo Russell, but at least he's filling the void of other areas that D'Lo doesn't. So even though, let's say he does have the similar issues as D'Lo doesn't fill in some of those other holes. A guy like a Colin Sexton would. And I'm not saying Colin Sexton would be I actually think he'd be more consistent, but I'm just saying, like, if the happenstance happens where, because we've seen guys like come to Lakers and just completely forget how to play basketball, right? Like if something like that were to happen, at least he fills the void on other things. So when Colin Sexton is having a bad night shooting the basketball or scoring the basketball, at least he can put the ball on the deck and just get to the rim at will. Or, he can, just provide that point of attack, be athletic, lock down defensively, and really focus on stuff. You can't get that from D'Lo, right? It can't be like, hey, D'Lo, your shot isn't falling, just play defense. Right? You're not going to get that from D'Lo. You're not going to get that from Reaves. So, anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Do you disagree with my points? Kind of mixed? Do you think, like, nah, just keep them, go get a 3-and-D win, something like that? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Just enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.